Hey everyone, it's Daniel Shirley. Solo tonight, no Bill tonight. Bill has a real job that's getting in the way of being here on the podcast tonight, but we did want to talk about the Clemson signing class today here on season 4 of the Reign Supreme podcast, as Bill always likes to mention. So, going to jump in here real quick and talk about this class and break things down and look at it real quick and kind of some of what Dabo said today about the class and share our thoughts or my thoughts and and we get your thoughts. What do you think about the class? Make sure you leave us some comments in the comments below. Go to all of our social sites and let us know there as well. It was an early day. I actually woke up this morning and said, "Oh wait, it's signing day." And the reason I remembered it was signing day is because I was scrolling through Instagram before I got out of bed and I saw the class coming up on the Clemson football Instagram site at 7 o'clock. So it's really cool to see those first couple of names come in. Connor Salmon, wide receiver out of Virginia, Shavar Young, cornerback out of Tennessee, Leo Delaney, lineman out of Charlotte. Those were the first few names that kind of came through the list. I think Shavar was the first player committed in this class. So really cool to see how that played out and that he stuck with the commitment and those kinds of things. And that was a big point of emphasis for Dabo this morning when he talked about the class was commitment. You know, they had some decommitments, and everybody's going to have some decommitments in this day and age. But he was really, really emphasizing this group and what it meant for this group to stick with the Tigers. So a lot of fun to hear that from him, see these guys sign. 20 signees. They snuck one in at the last moment. Well, not the last moment. They got a few days, but they snuck one in the afternoon. Michael Foster, defensive end, signed. He's from Indian Land, South Carolina. That's where he went to high school. And he signed with the Tigers as well. So pretty cool to see him, an in-state guy. Dabo pointed out they had 13 states in this group, so that's really cool as well to see that. I think a lot of people automatically, when we go to signing day and we talk about recruits, and I mean we talk about the game of football, they're going to jump to the quarterbacks. So let's go ahead and do that. Tigers signed 2 quarterbacks today. Brock Bradley is a young man from Birmingham, Alabama. I've heard good things about him. I really have. I know a few people who live in Alabama and have told me really, really good things about him. So, we'll see how that plays out. I know he's kind of seen by some people as maybe the throw-in quarterback of this group, with Tate Reynolds as the other one, and Tate is from Arizona. I know he's kind of the higher rated player, seen as a 4-star by a couple of the services, kind of a 3-star, I think, across the board, as far as cumulative across the board. But I think Bradley is kind of seen as the second guy in this group. I don't know that that's the case. Like I said, I'm hearing good things about him, and we'll see how that plays out, right? I mean, you got Chris Vizina, you've got Denson, now you've got these 2 young men. We'll see if the Tigers add anybody else, maybe in the portal, or if this is their group. If it is their group, it's a really young group. So we'll see how that plays out, as we move forward. And we'll do a portal needs kind of a podcast episode later before we get to the portal. But this one, we're just going to talk about these guys who signed today. So I really like these 2 young players. I do. They're different guys. They're different players. Dabo compared Bradley to more of a Baker Mayfield type, kind of that gritty, gutty, get it done kind of a quarterback. And then Tate Reynolds is everything you hear about him is just athleticism, big arm. He's bigger. I think one thing you look back at Cade Klubnik, when he's got there, Dabo talked about he's a little skinny. He's got to build up his body, all those things. I don't think that's going to be the case with Tate. And both of these guys are going to enroll early. And Dabo said they're both coming there to compete. So, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out with the 4 quarterbacks that you've got now on the roster, and who else will join. So that'll be interesting to see. Then you look at wide receiver, and I mentioned Connor Solomon, Gordon Sellers, Naeem Burrows are the 3 wide receivers. Dabo said they'll enroll, all of them will enroll early. And with each one of them, he mentioned speed. And I think they need some more speed. A couple of big bodies in that group as well, which doesn't hurt my feelings any. I think they need to get back to the bigger Mike Williams, T. Higgins, those kinds of guys, Sammy Watkins, Nuke Hopkins, and those are 4 of the greats for sure, but bigger body kind of guys too. So we'll see. Again, we'll see these guys in the spring, and that'll be fun to watch. The interesting part to me offensively is there's no running back yet in this class. Could there be one in February? Would there be one in the portal? That might be more likely the case.
Be sure to subscribe at youtube.com/Clemson Kickoff. It's free. It's the best place to catch all our episodes, and it's the best place for you to comment with your reactions.
But there's one tight end, Tavion Wilson. Sounds like kind of a raw, kind of an athlete, ready to go kind of a guy. Very athletic. Dabo said he played 5 sports, I believe, is what he said this morning. So, that's wild. Played quarterback this year in high school because he had to. So, we'll see about him as well. So, and then on the offensive line, this is my favorite part of this class. I think if you've listened to our podcast at any length of time, you know how Bill and I have talked about offensive line. To me, it's the most important part of a football team is what you do in the trenches. And you can't do anything offensively. And I don't care what your scheme is. I don't care if it's triple option all the way to the other end of the spectrum of run and shoot or whatever you want to call that now. You can't do anything if you can't block, and you can't open holes, and you can't set passing lanes, and you can't do all that. And man, it looks like they went all in, to steal Dabo's phrase, on this offensive line. They signed 6 offensive linemen. And, there's been a couple of years, the last few years, since we started doing this podcast, where they haven't done that. And Bill and I've said, hey, man, where's the offensive linemen? They need to sign 4 or 5 offensive linemen in every class because you don't know how many you're going to hit on. It's such a hard position to judge and evaluate what a young man's going to become from high school to college. So you need the bodies to miss on a couple. That's okay. It's going to happen. But 6, I'm really, really happy about. And big dudes too. And we know that Matt Luke is known for liking the big athletic linemen like that. And it sounds like they went all into that. And, look at the names here. Leo Delaney, who I mentioned earlier, he's from Charlotte. Chance Barclay is from Florida. Adam Guthrie is from Ohio. Dabo said they've never recruited or signed a young man from Ohio who hasn't turned out to be a really good player. Grant Wise is from Florida as well. Braden Wilms is from Kansas, and you don't get too many players from Kansas. So, man, it's just a fun offensive line class, and I think that you've got to. And I miss Carter Scruggs too. I'm sorry. There's the 6th one. So just really, really excited about that. That makes me very happy to see that many offensive linemen in this class. So, and I think he said 5 of them are going to be early enrollees. So you get them in the system, you get them in the nutrition plan, you get them in mat drills and all of that in the workout room, the weight room. All of that is very, very important. So, that is really, really good to see. On the defensive side, not as many defensive players in this class. So I think maybe they hit the portal a little harder on defense, and we'll see again how that plays out, next month when the portal opens in January. But they're losing some guys on the defensive side. Uh, at least you would think they are. And they don't have many in this class. And, they're a little thin defensively this year. And we saw that kind of play out on the field for most of the year. So you would think maybe they would hit the portal class on the defensive side. Or maybe they sneak in another position player on defense in this class in February. There's plenty of time for something like that. Maybe there's a diamond in the rough or somebody out there who they can add. But if you look at the class on defense, linebacker Braden Riley is from Ohio. Cam Cody, Dabo called him Mount Cody this morning. He's from Savannah, plays at the Benedictine Military School. And I can tell you, living here in Georgia, that's one of the best programs in the state. And if you get guys from that place, you're getting players who are talented, disciplined, ready to go. And so I think that's a really good addition. J.R. Hardrick is a defensive end out of Tennessee. Marcel Gibson is cornerback out of Texas. And then Michael Foster is the young man, again, who we mentioned, who signed late. He's a defensive end joining this class. So, and then there's one special teams player. Jackson Reach is the long snapper. So we'll see. Again, we don't know what any of these young men are going to become, but I like this class. I do. Dabo compared it a lot to the class that signed after the 6 and 7 year. That, again, commitment. They stuck with us. We had a bad year, but they didn't bail, and they're coming to be part of the Clemson program. And he was really excited about that group and that they did they did those things. And there are a lot of guys could have bailed when this team was 1-3 and decommitted. And we saw a couple of decommits, and I'm not criticizing those young men. You got to do what's right for you. I will never criticize a commit for picking another school. That's their life. I don't have to live their life for the next 4 years and live with that decision. That is, and if you do that, you need to probably look in the mirror a little bit and rethink your own life some. But Dabo will really praise these guys. And he was asked about the decommits, and he said, I worry about the guys we got. These are the guys I'm going to spend the next 4 years with, or 3 years, or whatever with. And these are the ones I want to focus on. I'm not focusing on the guys who didn't come. And I think that's the only way you can go about it. You can't get upset. You can't get worried. You can't get mad. And that's not Dabo's style anyway. And I think that's the way you got to be as a fan, especially now in the portal era where maybe somebody decommitted, they went to another school, they get there for a year and they go, man, I wish I had gone to Clemson. Well, you want to be able to keep those doors open for those kinds of things. So you can't burn bridges or anything like that. And that's not Dabo's style. And I think the fans, you need to stay out of it as well. I don't think you need to be on players' Twitter accounts criticizing them and going after them for committing or signing with somebody else. That's their life. They don't have, you don't have to live the life that they have to live or live their decisions. So just stay out of it. There's my soapbox there for a little bit. But no.
Connect with us on social media. That's at Clemson Kickoff. Whether you're on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, or Facebook, you'll find us there.
Back to this class, man. Again, 20 players. Not the biggest class. I mean, Clemson has signed bigger classes. And I'm sure other teams will sign more players this year. That's okay. I think they're kind of leaving some spots open for the portal. And I would think most Clemson fans would say, heck yeah, that's what we need to do. This team next year, coming off a 7-5, hopefully an 8-5 season with a bowl win, this program needs some dudes that can help now. This isn't, 11-2 and we got a lot of depth and, we won the ACC again and we're going to the playoff and all that. We just need to sprinkle guys in. This team needs some immediate help. And I think we saw that this year. A lot of it on the defense, especially through the struggles of the season. But I think you'll see some of that in the portal. And Bill and I will do a portal episode as well of what we think they need to do. I think you just heard what I think they need to do, but what we think they need to do and what positions they need to target. And we'll see. Maybe they get another quarterback, right? So, well, I'm a big fan of this class. I like the two quarterbacks. I love the three receivers. I am over the moon about the offensive line commits with 6 of them. You think Matt Luke knows what he's doing a little bit. Of those 6, he's going to hit on 2 or 3 of them at least. And what that could mean for your offense for the next 3-4 years. This offense needs some stability. There's been a lot of turmoil in the offense. Maybe not turmoil, maybe not the right word, but a lot of guys getting hurt, a lot of guys in and out of the lineup the last 3-4 years since we've been doing this podcast. They need some to be solid. And could this be the building block? Last year's as well. Could these two classes be the building block of what we see from this offense the last couple of years? And I think if that happens, then you start to see this offense get back to more of a big plays, dynamic, high scoring. It's been kind of a slog the last couple of years offensively. And I think a lot of that starts up front. So, well, that's it for me. I hope everybody enjoyed this breakdown. Again, we'll get back to me and Bill together when his real job and his life and all that stuff doesn't get in the way. I have a job too, but I'm off today, so I wanted to jump in and do this. But we appreciate everybody listening. Please keep following us on social media. Keep following us on all the podcast sites, wherever you find us, wherever you listen to us. Subscribe wherever if you're just now hearing this for the first time, make sure you subscribe. And Bill and I will get back to this as a partnership, as a team. We're a team. We're a team just like the Tigers, but we'll get back to that probably sooner rather than later. And I hope you enjoyed this. We'll do a bowl preview. We'll do a portal preview, all of that stuff coming up. We got basketball to talk about. The basketball team's playing really well. And heck, before you know it, it'll be baseball season. So we're going to keep you up to date on all of that right here on the podcast. That's it for us today. Enjoy your day. Have a great rest of your day, and go Tigers.